Okay, I hope I'm audible to all the students who are attending this lecture. We continue with the concept of relations. And if all students can recall, in the last lecture, we had talked about the concept of reflexive relations, symmetric relations, anti-symmetric relations, and transitive relations. So let's do some practice questions first. Let's look at some practice questions. So let A be equal to the set ABC and consider the relation R on A as R is equal to set of AA, BB, CC and AB. Let us see whether it's reflexive, symmetric and transitive. So is it reflexive? You can see clearly yes, because AA, BB, CC belong to R. All three of them belong to the relation R. So this relation is a reflexive relation. Is it symmetric? Let's check whether it's symmetric or not. You can clearly see no. This is not symmetric. Why? Because A comma B belongs to R, but B comma A does not belong to R. So the relation is not symmetric. Guys, is it transitive? You can see yes. Why is it transitive? Because you can see if A comma B belongs to R and B comma B belongs to R, you can see that A comma B belongs to R. So it is a transitive relation. So for this question, where this is my set and this is my relation, this is reflexive because A comma A, B comma B and C comma C all belong to R. This is not symmetric because A comma B belongs to R, but B comma A does not belong to R. It's transitive because A comma B belongs to R and B comma B belongs to R implies A comma B is also belonging to R anyways. Okay. Let's do another question for practice. Let A be equal to set of A, B and C and consider the relation R on A as R is equal to set of AA, BB and CC. Let's check whether it's reflexive, symmetric and transitive. Let's check whether this is reflexive, symmetric and transitive. You can see it is reflexive. Why? Yes. Since A comma A, B comma B and C comma C all belong to R. It is symmetric. Yes. Because A related to B, A related to A, I can write it like this. A related to A and A related to A implies A is related to A. So guys, it is symmetric because it's vacuously true. you can see the hypothesis itself is not meeting true. The hypothesis itself is not there. So if the hypothesis itself is not there, you don't need to worry about the conclusion. By default, it is symmetric. Is it transitive? Yes. Again, why? It's vacuously true. Because the hypothesis itself is not meeting true. Okay, so please ask your doubt.
Sir, I did not understand how relation, in question 1, how relation is transitive.
You can see it is transitive. Why? Because A comma, if you look at question 1, in question 1, you can see that A comma B belongs to R and B comma B belongs to R. That means A comma B and B comma B would mean A comma B also belongs to R anyways. It's a way of showing that it's transitive.
Sir, it should be A comma B and B comma C. Then A comma C should belong to R. Like a transitive to truth.
I got your doubt, but in this case, B and C are the same and they are both equal to B only. So treat it like that. I hope you've understood it now. Okay. Any other student has a doubt? Unmute your mic and ask.
Sir, can you explain the vacuously true meaning once?
Okay, the concept of vacuously true we had done in the previous lectures, and the concept goes like this: that if you look at the definition for symmetry, so I am writing it on the whiteboard. When is a relation said to be symmetric? A relation is said to be symmetric if A is related to B, it implies B should be related to A. This is called the hypothesis. And this is called as the conclusion. Now, if the hypothesis itself is not there, you don't need to worry about the conclusion. So I ask you in question 2, is A related to B? No. Hypothesis itself is not there. So by default, it's true. By default, it is symmetric. So remember this, guys. This statement will be false when? When will this statement be false? This will be false if this is true, but this is false. लेकिन अगर यही true नहीं है, if this itself is not true, then you don't need to worry about the conclusion. That means by default, the statement is true. Same goes for transitivity. What is the statement for transitivity? I am writing it on the top. For revision, statement of transitivity is A related to B and B related to C implies A should be related to C. Again, this is my hypothesis. This is my conclusion. If the hypothesis itself is not true, you need not worry about the conclusion. Okay, so let's move forward. So let's look at question 3 now. Practice question 3. Let capital A be equal to set of ABC and define the relation R as set of AA, BB. Let's check whether it's reflexive. Answer is no. Why? Because C comma C does not belong to R. Is it symmetric and transitive? Are the hypotheses meeting true for symmetric transitive? No. So both of them are symmetric and transitive because of vacuously true, because the hypothesis itself is not meeting. So again, you need not worry about the conclusion. I can do one more question. A is equal to set of A, B, C and define the relation R equal to phi. Guys, what is phi? It's a null set, empty set. Is it reflexive? Answer is no. Why? Because A comma A, B comma B and C comma C does not belong to R. But guys, is it symmetric and transitive? Yes. Again, the concept of vacuously true, because the hypothesis itself for symmetry and transitivity is not holding true. You need not worry about the conclusion. So I hope all students have understood this. Let's do question 5. I request all students to quickly write along with me, okay? Let Z denote the set of integers and R is a subset of Z cross Z, defined as R is the set of A comma B such that A is equal to B. Is this an equivalence relation? Is this an equivalence relation or not? So Z is the set of integers and R is a subset of Z cross Z, defined as R is the set of A comma B such that A is equal to B. Now all of you know Z cross Z is the Cartesian product of integers. Now guys, when is a relation said to be an equivalence relation? If it is reflexive, symmetric and transitive. So let's check for reflexivity. Now all of us know, since A is equal to itself for all A belonging to integers, therefore A comma A belongs to R. Therefore A comma A belongs to R. Therefore R is for all A belonging to Z. Therefore R is reflexive. It's a reflexive relation because A is always equal to itself. Is it symmetric? Now consider the hypothesis A comma B belongs to R for all A and B belonging to Z. This implies A is equal to B for all A and B belonging to Z, which also implies that B is equal to A for all A and B belonging to Z, which implies B comma A also belongs to R. Therefore R is symmetric. And now check for transitivity. Let's check for that, guys. Consider the hypothesis A comma B belongs to R implies A is equal to B. This is equation 1. And B comma C belonging to R implies B is equal to C. What do we learn from 1 and 2? A is equal to B is equal to C, which implies A is equal to C, which implies A comma C belongs to R. Therefore, R is transitive. Since R is reflexive, symmetric, and transitive, therefore R is an equivalence relation. This is my final answer. Any doubts to anyone in this question? You can unmute your mic and ask. In case any student has a doubt. Okay, then let's move forward to question 6. Let Z be the set of integers and R be a subset of Z cross Z. And my R is nothing but set of A comma B such that mod A is equal to mod B. Is this an equivalence relation? So let's check for reflexivity. Since mod of A is equal to itself, therefore A comma A belongs to R. Therefore R is reflexive. Let's look for symmetry. Hypothesis. This implies mod A is equal to mod B, which also implies mod B is equal to mod A, which implies B comma A belongs to R for all. Therefore, R is symmetric. And guys, the same thing you can show for transitivity. Same thing we can show for transitivity. You all can solve it in your registers and you can then check out the screen. This is equation 1. And this is my equation 2. What do we learn from 1 and 2? Mod A is equal to mod B is equal to mod C, which implies mod A is equal to mod C, which implies A comma C also belongs to R. Therefore, R is transitive. Since R is reflexive, symmetric, and transitive, R is an equivalence relation. R is an equivalence relation. Let's do one more question of this type. Question 7. Consider the following relation R is the set of A comma B such that A square is equal to B square. This is the relation on, again, consider the following relation on the set of all integers. Consider the following relation on set of all integers defined as set of all A comma B such that A square is equal to B square. Is R an equivalence relation? So let's solve this. Now, since A square is equal to itself for all A belonging to integers, therefore A comma A belongs to R, therefore R is reflexive. Is it symmetric? Consider A comma B belongs to R, which implies A square is equal to B square, which also implies that B square is equal to A square, which implies B comma A also belongs to R. Therefore, R is symmetric. And the third thing, transitivity. So you all can solve this simultaneously in your registers. This is equation 1. And this is equation 2. What do we learn from 1 and 2? A square is equal to B square is equal to C square, which implies A square is equal to C square, which implies A comma C belongs to R for all A and C belonging to Z. R is transitive. Since R is reflexive, symmetric, and transitive, R is an equivalence relation on Z. So I hope all students have understood this. Now, one homework question for all students. Try at home. Consider a relation R on the set of integers defined as R is the set of A comma B such that A minus B is a multiple of 2. Is this an equivalence relation? Is this an equivalence relation? All students are requested to try this question at home. Okay. And now the last thing for the day I'm doing, after which we stop. There will be no further class today. This is the last thing for the day. Write the heading in your registers. Equivalence class. It's a new concept. Equivalence class. So guys, let's write the definition. Let R be an equivalence relation on A. Let R be an equivalence relation on A. What does this line mean? If R is an equivalence relation on A, it means R is reflexive, symmetric, and transitive. And R is an equivalence relation on A. What does this line mean? This means R is a subset of A cross A. When I say that R is an equivalence relation on A, it means R is a subset of Cartesian product of A with itself, and it is reflexive, symmetric, and transitive. Then, for each small a belonging to the set capital A, where small a is the element, capital A is the set, define the equivalence class of A as equivalence class of A is the set of all x belonging to A such that x is related to small a. I again repeat, equivalence class of A is the set of all those x belonging to capital A such that x is related to A. You want to understand this using an example? Write an example. Let capital A be equal to set of A, B, C and define the relation R on A as R is equal to set of A comma A, B comma B, C comma C, A comma B and B comma A. Then if I ask you find equivalence class of A, equivalence class of B and equivalence class of C. Guys, what will equivalence class of A be? It will be set of all those elements which are related to A. So A is related to itself. Also A is related to B. You can see A is related to B also. So my equivalence class of A is nothing but set of A comma B. What will equivalence class of B be? Now what all elements are related to B? B is related to itself. Also you can see that B is related to A. That means equivalence class of B is A comma B or B comma A. They are the same thing. What will the equivalence class of C be? You can see that C is only related to itself. So equivalence class of C is set of C. So I hope all the students have understood the definition of equivalence class and the example for this. Any doubt regarding this? Unmute your mic and ask.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, in the definition, you have written that equivalence class of A is equal to bracket mein X belongs to A. So, sir, in this, what is X?
So when I talk about, that is what I'm saying. When I talk about X, X can be either A or B or C because A, B and C all belong to A. That means X can take the value either A or B or C. That means what? What will the equivalence class of A be? What all elements are related to A in the relation? Look at the relation. In the relation, what all are related to A? A is related to itself and A is related to B. So equivalence class of A will be A comma B. Because A is related to A and B is related to A. Similarly, we find the equivalence class of B and C respectively. You want me to take another example? Suppose my set A is nothing but 1, 2, and 3. And my relation R is 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 2, 3, 3, 1, 3, 3. If I ask you find the equivalence class of 1, 1 is related to what all other numbers? 1 is related to 1, 1 is related to 2, 1 is related to 3. So equivalence class of 1 is set of 1, 2, 3. If I ask you what is the equivalence class of 2, 2 is related to what all numbers? 2 is related to 1, 2 is related to 3. Any other? No. So equivalence class of 2 is set of 1, 3. And what will the equivalence class of 3 be? 3 is related to itself. 3 is also related to 1. 3 is also related to 2. So equivalence class of 3 will be set of 3, 1, and 2. I hope all students have understood this now. Okay, so moving forward, all students write this proposition. If A is related to B, then equivalence class of A will always be equal to equivalence class of B. If A is related to B, equivalence class of A will be equal to equivalence class of B. Although the proof is not important, but I can still do it. Look at the proof. To show that equivalence class of A is equivalent to equivalence class of B, we need to show that equivalence class of A is a subset of equivalence class of B, and equivalence class of B is a subset of equivalence class of A. Guys, if this and this both you show, what will it mean? It will mean that the two will have the same equivalence class. Okay, so let's show this now. So let X belong to equivalence class of A. So what does this mean? If X belongs to equivalence class of A, therefore it means X is related to A, right? And we are given in the question that A is related to B. Therefore, this implies X is related to B. Since R is symmetric, it is an equivalence relation, right? It means it is symmetric. Sorry, it is transitive. XRA and ARB would mean XRB. If X is related to B, it means X belongs to equivalence class of B. So what do we learn from 1 and 2? From 1 and 2, equivalence class of A is a subset of equivalence class of B, equation star. Then I can say let X belong to equivalence class of B. So this means X is related to B. Now in the question we are given that A is related to B. This implies B is related to A. Since R is symmetric, now X is related to B and B is related to A. Implies X is related to A. Since R is also transitive, this implies X belongs to equivalence class of A. So what do we learn from equation 1 and 2? From 1 and 2, we can say that equivalence class of B is a subset of equivalence class of A. So guys, what do we learn from star and star dash? The two equivalence classes are the same. Hence proved. So I hope all students have understood the proof. Although proofs do not come in the exam, it was done just to show you how this statement is made. Basically, when we need to show that two equivalence classes are the same, we need to show that equivalence class of A is a subset of equivalence class of B and the reverse. So if X belongs to equivalence class of A, by definition, X is related to A. And in the question, we are given that A is related to B. And since R is transitive, X is related to B. It implies X belongs to equivalence class of B. So from 1 and 2, this happens. You can do the same thing for B. X belongs to equivalence class of B means by definition this happens. Now A is related to B implies B is related to A. Since R is an equivalence relation, it is symmetric. Now look at this and this. XRB and BRA implies XRA. Since R is transitive, XRA implies X belongs to equivalence class of A. So from 1 and 2, equivalence class of B is a subset of equivalence class of A. So this is a subset of this. This is a subset of this. From star and star dash, the two are exactly equal. So I hope students have understood this. And the last proof I do, then we stop. Proposition 2. Two equivalence classes are either disjoint or identical. So look at the proof. Consider two equivalence classes, equivalence class A and equivalence class B. Now guys, case 1. If the intersection between the two classes is equal to 5, then we are done. We don't need to prove further. The two equivalence classes are disjoint. Disjoint means they have nothing in common. Their intersection is equal to 5. But look at case 2. Suppose the intersection between them is not equal to 5. What does this mean? This means there exists a C belonging to their intersection. What does this mean? C belongs to equivalence class of A. Intersection means and C belongs to equivalence class of B, which implies this means C is related to A and this means C is related to B. This I can write as ARC using symmetry and CRB, and together this will mean ARB. And we have just done, if A is related to B, equivalence class of A is equal to equivalence class of B. That means two equivalence classes are either disjoint or they are identical. Because if their intersection is not equal to 5, you can find a C belonging to the intersection such that this happens. This using symmetry, you can write like this. And this gives you ARB, and we just proved that ARB implies equivalence class of A.